Hi, I'm Gwen with Core Travel, and this solo trip is Mexico City.
On my bucket list forever, I finally made it to Mexico City for 5 spectacular days. I love Mexico City, the friendly locals, the culture and art, UNESCO sites and history, and let's not forget the food. How could I not have a great time in this capital city? Get ready to see what I covered in 5 full days on my first visit to Mexico City in early October and staying in the Roma Norte district. You'll see why I can't wait to go back. If you're planning your first visit to Mexico City, take advantage of all of the resource links I have for you below in the video description to book your trip, as well as watch my essential Know Before You Go to Mexico City travel guide video. Stay notified for more Mexico City videos to come, and don't forget to subscribe. Without further ado,
Let's go explore Mexico City. Today is day 1. Well, technically day 2. I came in yesterday, but this is my first day out. Early morning start. I have a little bit of bags under my eyes. I'm a little tired, and I'm hoping the altitude won't affect me today, but here we go. I've signed up for a tour. You can see the group of people lining up behind me. And today we're going to do the Coyoacan, the university, Frida Kahlo Museum, and more. So it's surely going to be an exciting day.
thanks to Get Your Guide, the sponsor of this activity and video. I use Get Your Guide because I can easily discover and book unforgettable travel experiences from their over 110,000 curated things to do in 150 countries, from popular attractions to off-the-beaten-path gems. I can customize and up my solo travel with skip-the-line entry tickets, fun land and water activities, and food and wine experiences that I love so much, all provided by knowledgeable local experts. I can access these well in advance or on the go via their easy-to-use app, instant download my ticket, or use the QR code. No printing required. They have 24/7 support if I need it, and free cancellation up to 24 hours or more, which I love in case my travel plans change. Get Your Guide is very easy to use, and I think it's amazing for any type of traveler, including older solo travelers like myself. No matter where I'm going, I always find amazing things to do that complement my trips, so I know in advance I've secured my spot to have a great time, whether I want to stay solo or meet other travelers. Like on this full-day group tour covering multiple top things to see and do in Mexico City, including 2 UNESCO sites no less, enabling me to see as much as possible on my first-time visit. Use this QR code or link below to book yours.
First stop, University of Mexico, a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
In southern Mexico City, we briefly toured this prestigious main campus, receiving insights from our guide on its history, spectacular murals by multiple famous artists like Diego Rivera, and Central Library, covered by one of the largest mosaics in the world. The impressive volcano-shaped stadium was also host to the 1968 Summer Olympic Games. A nice start of our city tour, I was getting excited for the next destination.
Here we are now in Coyoacan, Mexico City.
A charming neighborhood where we were allowed a brief time to explore its center park, cobblestone streets, colonial architecture, restaurants and cafes, an opportune time for a snack, and colorful artisan markets and vendors where you can see Frida everywhere. Speaking of Frida, next up, the Frida Kahlo Museum. The highlight of Coyoacan, this lifelong home of Frida Kahlo now houses a collection of her artwork and Diego Rivera's, along with original furnishings, with the couple's Mexican folk art and pre-Hispanic pieces. This museum is a must-do in Mexico City. You definitely want to buy your ticket in advance. After the museum was a stop for lunch, a nice respite for food and a beer, before leaving for our final stop of the day, Xochimilco, meaning where the flowers grow, and another UNESCO World Heritage Site, known for its floating gardens and network of canals, where we strolled around first to see the vendors' tents trying local treats. Yes, even grasshopper. Before boarding the colorful trajineras for a blissful and lively ride through the canals, indulging with a cool drink and more local street dishes by boat, and yes, even hailing a mariachi band for a song. Just about anything can be purchased on the canals. Touristy, yes, but lots of fun. This and the Frida Kahlo Museum were my favorites of the day. I prefer smaller groups, but still this full day was a great way to visit not so close attractions in a short period of time while seeing a lot more of the city. Back at our original departure point, I was a little tired, but thankful that my hotel was less than 10 minutes away on foot, allowing for a short rest at my hotel before heading out to try one of the several restaurants on my list, only a few blocks away. I knew reservations were recommended. This place was packed. However, wouldn't you know, there was one spot left at the bar. The perks of being a solo traveler. I had their famous tuna tostadas with a salad, a nice albarino, followed by an incredible pear tort and a cajarillo, my new favorite cocktail. Definitely try these in Mexico City. It's safe to say I had already started eating my way through Mexico City, but luckily I could walk it off every day and night and never feeling unsafe as a solo female traveler. Day 2 was like day 1. Another early start for another full day of discovering Mexican history and culture, with more must-see and UNESCO landmarks. This time the Tlatelolco ruins, Teotihuacan, and the Guadalupe Shrine. Oh, and did I mention tequila tasting? All taken care of for me through Get Your Guide. Once again, the departure point was steps from my hotel. I love it when it's that easy. First stop, the Tlatelolco Archaeological Site on the northern end of the historic city center for a guided tour through the ruins, holding temples dedicated to Mexican deities and where human sacrifices once took place. Then time to stop into the Romanesque Church of Santiago Apostol that Spaniards placed on top of the ruins. After this, it was an hour ride outside of Mexico City, first stopping at an artisan workshop to view handmade textiles, arts and crafts, and get a little lesson on tequila, with tastings, before lunch. Thankfully, there was a driver. Of course, there was some time for shopping. Before moving on to the highlight of the day, the Teotihuacan Pyramids, a jaw-dropping sight with its looming pyramids, which you can no longer climb for preservation efforts. Our tour guide walked us through the archaeological site, explaining about the different pyramids and cultural practices, demonstrating the use of local flora, walking the Avenue of the Dead, and more. This is a quintessential stop for your Mexico City bucket list. Don't miss it, and come prepared. Just make sure that you bring water, wear sunscreen, hat, sunglasses, comfortable shoes, and dress in layers. In the morning, it will be chilly, perhaps, but in the afternoon, it definitely gets warmer. It was nice to get out of the sun for a late lunch and Aztec dance show before driving back towards the city and our final stop. La Basilica de Santa Maria de Guadalupe. The massive complex around the Plaza Mariana is flanked by the Carillon, the original 18th century Basilica of Guadalupe, and the new Basilica of Guadalupe that opened in 1976 and houses the Shrine of the Virgin of Guadalupe, a significant cultural figure in Mexican culture, which can be seen from almost anywhere within. This basilica is a pilgrimage site, receiving nearly 30 million worshipers and 10 million non-religious visitors each year. The tour ended late in the day. Not hungry with the late lunch, I decided to call it a day to make sure I was recharged for a lot of walking tomorrow. From here on in, I'm going solo. With no more tours, I enjoyed a slow breakfast and views from my rooftop hotel before making my way to the notable Paseo de la Reforma, the main road that runs through the entire metropolis with more than 10 roundabouts. and head west on my way to spend time in the expansive Bosque de Chapultepec, the largest park in Mexico City, covering over 2.5 square miles. You cannot escape Mexico City without a visit. In 15 minutes, I was passing through the Gate of Lions. It was nice and quiet, and I felt like I had the park to myself. Chapultepec means at Grasshopper Hill, which housed my first attraction of the day, the National Museum of History in Chapultepec Castle, which served as the official residence for Mexican presidents until 1940. Schedule your time if you can on a clear day for the best views from the hill, and visit the castle early. If you're going during peak season, I would get your ticket in advance. I got there when it opened to enjoy the interior space, history and archaeology rooms, incredible murals, and viewpoints for a couple of hours before the crowd started to arrive. I kept exploring the park, which has paddle boats on the lake, lots of vendors and outdoor restaurants, food stalls, if you want to just grab a snack and sit on a bench, or snack while you walk, which I did, on way to the Botanical Gardens, a very neat area of the park. Make sure to pop inside to the Orchid Garden before it closes at 3. Conveniently next door is the Museum of Modern Art, which only accepts cash, by the way, but is a very cool building with a collection of Mexican modern art definitely worth stopping in for. Ending my time in Chapultepec Park, I walked west to my final attraction of the day,
The National Museum of Anthropology,
which contains the world's largest collection of ancient Mexican art and artifacts. It's incredible. I spent a few hours here learning about ancient Mesoamerican civilizations and their cultural practices, and careful not to miss the Sunstone, depicting the Aztec calendar. This museum is highly popular and another Mexico City must-do. Again, it's advised to buy your ticket in advance during peak season. So of course, after all of that walking, it's food time. I walked back towards my hotel for dining on some good food and cocktails with a cool vibe and music in an outdoor setting. A great way to end the day. Day 4 was more relaxed. Staying on the west side, my only plans were exploring more neighborhoods, a museum, and yes, more food, with 2 more restaurants on my list. The morning was lazy, just wandering from Roma Norte into the neighboring Hippodrome Condesa, aka Condesa, to see what this former horse racing track, now lovely neighborhood, had to offer. Condesa was beautiful, but the rest of my day was designated for Polanco and Granada. Rain in the forecast, I opted for a couple of Ubers, the first one to lunch.
My first stop here in Polanco is Siembra. It's a tortilla, and it is keeping alive the traditional ways of making tortillas, so I thought I'd check it out for a quick bite before exploring the rest of Polanco.
I chose Siembra because they also use responsible and sustainable endemic products, which I value. I indulged on a beef taco and fish taco with pineapple, a great combination, with freshly made salsas. Add a cold beer, it was a perfect lunch. Note, they have since added a full restaurant next door for more space. Check them out.
A quick 10-minute Uber ride later, and I'm here at Museo Sumaya.
This museum is a great way to spend time indoors on a rainy day. It's 7 floors of great art. Like the Guggenheim, just start at the top and wind your way down. The best part? It's free. It seemed it wanted to clear up a bit, so I took the opportunity to walk back into Polanco. Polanco is a big neighborhood, but pleasantly walkable, with large shopping complexes. Lovely parks. and notable streets with plenty of restaurants, cafes, and more shopping. Exploring Lincoln Park and its surrounding cafes was my favorite part of Polanco. Thankful to enjoy it while the weather was still holding, before walking to that second restaurant on my list.
After strolling around the lovely streets of Polanco, I have decided to take a gamble and see if I can get into Puyol. And here I am, on the terrace. You must make a reservation for this restaurant. It's top restaurant in Mexico City, but also top in sustainability and organic dining. So even though it might rain, they've offered to move me underneath the covered area if it does. It is pricey, but I am splurging. So out here on the terrace, they have a new 4-course menu, and I'm going to do that with some bubbly and maybe a glass of wine, and have a lovely dining experience here in Mexico City at Puyol.
Did I mention Puyol has 2 Michelin stars? Yeah, it was lovely. Even though the rain quickly turned into a thunderstorm,
I'm told to eat it with your hands. Here we go. And more thunder. I'm going to need another glass of bubbly for this.
I quite comfortably enjoyed a sumptuous 4-course meal with recommended wines on the covered terrace. I can't recommend it enough. The friendly staff totally took care of me throughout, never wanting for anything. With umbrella service to the Uber, they called for me to take me to my hotel. Definitely the dining highlight of my trip.
Today is my last full day in Mexico City, and it's been rainy, so I've timed my visit to the Plaza Zocalo here in the Centro Historico for my last day because it's supposed to be clearing up very soon and be beautiful this afternoon. I wanted to make my first stop at Palacio Nacional so I could see the murals by Diego Rivera. Unfortunately, it's closed today. The Palacio Nacional has an event, so that's just my bad luck.
The bright side was, I now had some extra time in my day. So I walked around the corner to the Templo Mayor. The Templo Mayor was the most important temple in Mexico Tenochtitlan, and the site now holds more than 3,000 important pieces of Mexican culture.
You can view a large portion of it from the barrier that you see behind me here that wraps around most of the perimeter, but not all. However, I do encourage you to pay the 85 Mexican pesos to get in so you can see more inside in detail and also help preserve this UNESCO World Heritage Site.
After a little bit of time here, I just wandered around, taking in the sights, but being careful to keep an eye on the time, because this time I did have a reservation. I made a reservation just in case for the Grand Hotel Terrace Bar so I could have the breakfast buffet. This is where they filmed Spectre, James Bond movie. It's gorgeous. And the view over the Plaza Zocalo is outstanding. Take a look. They're gearing up for their big annual book fair festival, so that's why you see all the tents down there, and it should be starting in about 30 minutes or so, so I'm going to head down there after I enjoy my scrumptious breakfast buffet with a mimosa. Why not? The afternoon called for some art, so I headed west from Zocalo Square down the notable Madero Street for 20 minutes, ending at the Palacio de las Bellas Artes. It's free to enter, but you pay a small fee to go upstairs to view the city's most flamboyant murals. I recommend stopping in to see them for yourself. Then I took a stroll through the shaded and elegant Alameda Central, the city's oldest public park. To my last attraction in El Centro, the Diego Rivera Museum. Since I couldn't see his murals at the palace, this was a nice second. It was a short visit, as it only houses one mural, Dream of Sunday Afternoon in the Alameda Central. In it, you can see the most important figures in 400 years of Mexican history in one space. It's quite impressive. I also recommend taking a look. I needed to get back to my hotel to pack and check into my flight the next day and get ready for my last dinner out in Roma Norte.
Tonight I'm dining at M. It was recommended by some of the staff at Puyol last night. It's here in Roma Norte. It is a restaurant based on farm to table. They use what is in season only, and everything should be really fresh, and I'm really looking forward to their dishes.
My reservation was for outside at this small, intimate restaurant. Despite the mariachi band next door clashing with our music, the experience was sensational. I let my waiter be my guide on all wine and food recommendations, ordering a la carte, and he did not disappoint. I was started with the Mexican soup to cleanse the palate before devouring the squash blossom and soft goat cheese tarts, smoked clams and charred fish and bread, and a habanero and butter sauce that melted in my mouth, followed by a rich, sinful chocolate with cream dessert. It was incredible. The staff at Puyol did not lie. This is a fabulous restaurant. I was very pleased how it ended my last night in Mexico City. This trip was truly unforgettable. I look forward to revisiting for sure.